Climate Resilient Renewable Energy Regional Cooperation and Pathways jointly is organized in collaboration with ECMOD Nepal and United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. So first of all, I would like to start by thanking our collaborating partners for making this happen, especially given such an important relevance of the subject with the recent debates and the developments going on. So as we go along, I'll be introducing the speakers, and we'll really shortly be joined by Mr. Riaz Fatiana, who will be chairing, who's currently serving as a member of National Assembly of in the government of Pakistan. He'll be chairing the session. But before going to that, till he joins, Dr. Abid would also be joining us very shortly. And today's discussion will mainly currently working as a research associate at SDPI. So for initiating this, Zainab, I'll kind of hand it over to you to kind of start with the introductions and explain the theme a bit, and then from there we'll take the discussion forward. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you. So I'll take you guys through the agenda for today's session. So today, as Ubaid have already mentioned, that we will be joined by Mr. Mohammad Riaz Fatiana, who is the member National Assembly of Pakistan. He will be the chief guest of today's discussion. And we'll be looking and discussing one of the ECMOD's recent
Ubaid, we cannot hear Zainab's voice.
So probably the challenge is hard.
Yes, now it's fine.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Were you able to go to the agenda, or I can start from start? So I will just explain the agenda for today. So we have Mr. Mohammad Riaz Fatiana. He will be joining shortly. He is a member National Assembly of Pakistan. He will be the chief guest for today's sessions. We will be looking at discussing one of the most recent publication that is on regional energy access, and that was being presented by Ms. Isabella. She's the Deputy Director General at International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. After that, we have a technical presentation. That's on navigating the path to SDG 7 in Asia and Pacific, breakthroughs and barriers. That will be presented by SCAP, represented by Ms. Fatia. After these presentations, we have a panel discussion where we will be joined by the colleagues from SCAP, Sark Energy Center, ECMOD, and the panel will be shared by the Ministry of Energy, Power Division. I will also be introducing the other experts that will be joining shortly. So, for as we've discussed, that we will be going toward the presentation of the ECMOD's most recent publication on energy access. For this, I would request Ms. Isabella. She had joined us online. Ms. Isabella, can you please share your screen and go to the presentation?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Thank you. So, assalamu alaikum and good morning distinguished speakers, delegates, and participants. I'm honored to speak on behalf of ICIMOD, the International Centre for Integrated Mountain Development, at this important session on advancing SDG 7 in the Kush Himalaya, climate resilient, renewable energy, regional cooperation, and pathways. And of course, as many of you here know, the Hindu Kush Himalaya is among the world's most vulnerable regions. People upstream and downstream face direct and cascading risks from climate change, from pollution, biodiversity loss, and environmental degradation. And yet this region, which is also known as the Third Pole, is also a vital life support system for Asia. It holds the largest ice mass outside the poles, the headwaters of 10 major rivers, and underpins cultural, economic, and ecological well-being of nearly 3 billion people. But of course, countries across the Hindu Kush, the Karakoram, and Himalaya face an energy development paradox. The rapid growth in energy demand, coupled with persistent socio-economic deprivations, make it difficult to meet climate mitigation goals. It make it difficult to shift to low emission pathways and of course deliver targets such as Pakistan's net zero by 2050. And yet at the same time, renewable energy is central to low carbon sustainable growth and to reducing dependence on imported oil, coal, and gas. That is why countries in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, including Pakistan, have signaled around 1.7 terawatts of clean energy in their NDCs, and Pakistan has committed to net zero by 2050, which is of course only 25 years away. And in addition, the region holds over 3.5 terawatts of clean energy that lies in hydro, solar, and wind potential. And yet, to date, clean sources still supply only about 6% of current energy. Hydropower and other renewables remain undeveloped. In Pakistan, biofuels and waste still account for roughly a quarter of total energy use. And traditional biomass remains widespread in rural areas across the region, which of course drives indoor air pollution and the associated harms to human health, which come alongside significant economic and social costs. And our recent assessment, the ICIMOD Regional Energy Report, shows that the widening gap between potential and progress is also widening. Ambition alone is not enough. The barriers, of course, are well known. That is high financing and capital costs with limited concessional finance, weak private investment, technology gaps, land and siting constraints, and of course, policy, institutional and regulatory challenges, and of course, climate change disruptions, especially in the variability of water flows that affects hydropower development. So as the next steps forward, firstly, at national level, we must continue to accelerate the least regret renewables. For instance, scaling solar and wind, modernizing grids and storage, and advancing clean cooking. While, of course, continuing to unlock hydropower responsibly through climate risk screening and basin level planning with strong safeguards. Countries should also deploy innovative solutions such as dam equivalents, that is, alternative means of conserving water, such as efficient irrigation, urban water storage, and demand-side measures to complement these large infrastructure initiatives and, of course, whilst reducing vulnerability. Secondly, at the regional level, we do need to deepen cooperation that enables energy trade, that unlocks technology transfer, investment, and thus builds and fosters the creation of green jobs, grounded, of course, in climate justice, inclusion, and long-term economic sustainability. So let us seize this moment not only as 8 countries acting alone, but as one region united by shared risks, shared resources, and shared responsibility. With this kind of collaboration, we can unlock the full power of our extraordinary mountain region for the mountains and for the millions who depend upon them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isabella, for sharing the time of your analysis. Definitely, there are a number of risks that the Asian countries are currently facing because of the climate change, and we strongly agree with you that the cooperation has a significant role to play for this transition. So thank you. Moving forward now for the introductory and scene-setting remarks for the session today, let me invite Mr. Amit Hussain. He's the lead action area, economy strategic group, resilient economies and landscape. I said one for scene setting. Dr. Amit, over to you.
Thank you so much, Zainab. I will try to share my screen. I have sent requests to be approved by SDPI administrator. So can you confirm my voice is loud and clear?
The voice is all loud and clear.
Okay. So now I am sharing my screen. Thank you so much. So I will take you through some background information of this session. As our Deputy Director General, she very nicely presented the potential of Hindu-Kush Himalayan region on renewables and the challenges we are facing. I just wanted to show the map of this region. So this region is actually shared by 8 regional member countries: Afghanistan, Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. It accommodates around 270 million people directly, and it's a lifeline, as Isabella, she mentioned, that in terms of supply of ecosystem services, particularly water. So in the downstream areas, also more than 1.8 billion people are dependent on the ecosystem services, particularly water, for livelihoods, for their food security, and of course, national economies also. In total, 2.1 billion people are dependent on ecosystem services of this region. It's mainly hilly and mountain region. If we see the mix of energy, the power being supplied to the people in different sectors, around 3.4 billion people in our regional member countries, which are sharing this hilly and mountain region, 3.4 billion population is dependent of energy, partially or significantly being supplied by the river basins of this region. Yeah, as Isabella very rightly mentioned that now there is challenge with countries how they can transition from conventional energy to renewable energy, because this region has very rapidly growing economies like China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh are also on the path. So now these economies, rapidly growing economies, need more energy to expand their sectors, of course, their goods and services, tradable and for local consumption also. Energy demand will likely to increase over time. So this region already has potential. Hilly and mountain areas only have potential of 3.5 terawatt, and we can imagine the huge potential of whole geographical boundaries of countries. Despite this huge potential and rising demand for energy also in economic sectors, the countries are also facing socio-economic challenges. Still, millions of people are facing extreme poverty, multidimensional poverty, and of course, inadequate access to electricity. If we see the macro challenges, still, as Isabella mentioned, 1 billion people still use in this region the conventional fuel sources like biomass. Of course, it has impacts on health also, and the black carbon has impacts on glacier melting also, together with global warming. So, as EC mode's assessment shows, we call that assessment high-wise, that we are likely to achieve peak in water availability river basin by 2050, and after that water is gradually like to decline water availability in river basins because of glacial melting now rapidly increasing, and of course beyond 2050 there will be impact on glacial mass, and water availability will not be that much as we have now and likely to have till 2050. If you see the major climatic risks, of course, water variability is one risk in river basins and posing direct challenges to hydropower. Of course, the extreme events like avalanche, floods, gulfs, they are likely to pose a lot of risk to hydropower projects particularly. So that we should keep in mind whenever we are planning for energy mix for any country. So glacier melting rates are rapidly increasing. If current global warming trends continue, two-thirds of glaciers mass is likely to vanish by the end of this century. If temperature goals are kept to 2 degrees, around 50% glacier mass is likely to vanish. If temperature goals are at 3%, then 55 to 75% glacier mass is likely to melt. If temperature goals are kept to 4 degree, around 70 to 80% glacier mass is likely to melt. And we can imagine the criticality of this climate challenge for Pakistan because Indus River Basin has around 60% water coming from melt sources, snow and glaciers. Not only the climatic challenges, we have other challenges also, so economic, social, technical, and political challenges. I will not highlight that much on economic because these economic challenges are being discussed a lot in Pakistan. I will especially discuss the technical challenges here. Isabella very rightly mentioned that not only the multi-purpose hydropower development is important for country, of course, to meet the demand for energy, water, and also to regulate the risks of flood. But we also need to consider dams equivalents. Dam equivalents means switching to solar, switching to wind energy sources, but also to take micro and meso level steps on water harvesting, water storage, efficient use of water in different sectors. I would like to give one example. Some standards are also required. For example, if multi-purpose dam, X dam is facing challenges because of climatic factors or ecosystems health. If we switch to solar and wind, of course, we will require water also. For that purpose, we need to bring in this water harvesting, water storage facilities or solutions at micro and meso levels also. We can bring in nature-based solutions also to recharge groundwater also, because if we have solar energy, of course we have to regulate also. That's why I mentioned that some standards are also required. Groundwater is also very precious source. We cannot pump unlimitedly. Of course, there are some technical challenges, political challenges also. So we all know what are the geopolitical challenges. I will not highlight those. So overall, we need knowledge sharing, technology sharing, and of course, the sharing of ideas to tap all these challenges. For example, if one country is having good solutions related to dams equivalent, then that country can share to other countries with other countries. Of course, for this sharing, some regional mechanism is required. This session cannot discuss all these challenges what renewable energy or energy sector is facing. But through this session, we will try to explore what progress Pakistan and other regional member countries they have made on achieving SDG 7. And we will also discuss the challenges what climate change is actually posing to hydropower sector and what type of protocols or standards we can adopt to improve the resilience in the hydropower sector. There, we expect also there will be some discussion around the dam equivalents also. So we also expect that there is one panelist from SAARC, so she can also share some ideas how the regional cooperation can be enhanced around power trade, grid connectivity, and shared resilience standards in the HKH region. In the end, of course, one colleague from UN Escape, Anis, he will also be discussing around environmental and social safeguarding framework for inclusive and sustainable energy development. With this, thank you very much. Over to you, Zainab.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abed, for setting that context. And let me also take this opportunity to welcome Honorable Firas Satyana sir, member of National Assembly of Pakistan. Also the chair of the session. So thank you so much, sir. Again, just very briefly highlight, we have been starting this again, it is in very kind support to the ICIO team and also in collaboration with United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, where I think Dr. Abid has already highlighted the key context of the themes that we will be discussing, particularly given how important and central is the access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy for all, how it is central to most of the sustainable development goals that we mainly talk about. So, with this being the session, Shri, if you'd like to give us your interventions at this point, and as we go towards that, we'll again request you kind of, as a session chair, to the session a little bit. If you have anything to add, please.
To her, Kiran Cherry, if I that name. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my prayer to be here in this my discussion on sustainable development 7. The board words signed and ratified the United Nations in the SDG 2030. And this was a responsibility given of each and every country to implement SDGs. This is our obligation of each and every country of the world, especially in this region, South Asia, to implement sustainable development goal to the year 2030. And goal 7 is very important. So I think we will proceed further. And I will see
thank you so much, sir. So with this, I think Senan, back to you for the proceedings of the session.
Thank you. So, with the right scene said by Dr. Abed and the regional overview for the United landscape, I think we should move towards technical plan presentation that we have from SCAS. That's on navigating the path to SDG 7, Asia and the Pacific, breakthroughs and barriers. With this, I would request Ms. Patya from SCAS to present. Ms. Patya, are you with us?
Yes. Okay. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Just 1 second. I don't know. I have to come back to. There you go. Right. Is it it possible that you share my screen? Let me see. What about just like this? Will it be okay or?
Yes, you can perhaps turn the slide share on. If others, then this is okay as well. Very comfortably.
Okay, I think it should be fine now, right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, I'm so sorry for the technical challenge. So good morning, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Fadia Ahmadi. I'm with the United Nations Economic Commissions for. I'm so sorry. Yes. I'm with the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. And today I will discuss how the Asia Pacific region is progressing towards SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, highlighting both breakthroughs and remaining barriers. Just for the background, the Asia Pacific region plays a critical role in the global energy transition, as it is home to over 60% of the world population and includes some of the fastest growing economies, as mentioned by Dr. Hussain just now. That said, the success and progress of this region will significantly shape whether the world achieves SDG 7. So very briefly, SCAP is the United Nations Regional Development Arm for Asia and the Pacific. We work with 53 member states and 9 associate members, providing policy support, data, technical assistance, and platforms for regional cooperation. As you can see here, there are 8 divisions, and our divisions, Energy Division, in this sector, we support countries in developing long-term strategies, strengthening regulatory frameworks, mobilizing financing to improve energy efficiency, and scale up renewable energy deployment. So let's dive into how the region progresses. As you can see in the first chart, with the blue line, access to electricity in the region is nearly universal today, which is a major development success. You see that most countries now report urban access rates of over 99%. However, the other chart shows that access to clean cooking has not kept pace, with particularly rural areas with only 64% of the population has access to clean cooking. And increasing clean cooking rate is the largest challenge to achieving SDG 7 targets in Asia Pacific. And closing this gap matters greatly because lack of clean cooking access has serious consequences for health and gender equality, which is very essential for a just and inclusive energy transition. So despite the progress that I just mentioned in terms of universal access of electricity, the region remains heavily dependent on fossil fuels, particularly coal, which continues to dominate electricity generation. We see here in this small pie chart is the accumulation that around 83% of primary energy supply comes from fossil sources. One of the barriers is, as I saw it also on the slide of Dr. Hussein, that many countries continue to provide substantial fossil fuel subsidies, which delay clean energy investment. And we cannot deny that transitioning away from coal involves social and economic risk. And another thing is that the investment gap for clean energy is really substantial. How about the energy intensity trends in the region? A very important analysis to do, as the region accounts for more than half of global energy consumption. We see in the first chart that economies are becoming more efficient. However, the pace of improvement has slowed in recent years. You see that the annual reductions weakened from 2.8% in 2010-2015 to just 0.9% in 2020-2022, which is far below the 4% rate, which is far below the 4% rate needed to meet SDG 7.3. And the other chart shows that compared to other regions, Asia Pacific's energy intensity remains relatively high due to the region's reliance on energy-intensive industry. There are some key barriers, including high costs of clean technologies for many countries, limited institutional capacity that slows adoption, and also regulatory frameworks in many countries are still evolving, which creates uncertainty and discourages investment. So since 2019, SCAP has supporting member states under its flagship program of developing SDG 7 roadmap. And these roadmaps identify priority actions and investment tailored to each country's context to accelerate access, efficiency, and renewable energy adoption. As you can see, we have already supported many countries from Bhutan to Fiji and obviously Pakistan. And there we see an increasing interest from member states seeking support from SCAP to develop their national SDG 7 roadmap. And these initiatives help governments prioritize policies, attract investment, and track progress towards their national energy goals. And we are very thrilled that the SDG 7 national roadmaps that we have developed are already influencing real policy outcomes across the region. So for example, here, the SDG 7 roadmap of Fiji has directly informed the country's national energy policy 2021-2030, and the same applies to Tonga. But beyond these flagship cases, we have also seen strong momentum with around 15 follow-up projects across 12 countries, including Bhutan, where the roadmap helped drive action on clean cooking and energy transition planning. Alongside the roadmaps, SCAP has also conducted extensive capacity building programs, training policymakers and technical teams on areas such as energy emissions modeling, investment planning, and scenario analysis. And to conclude, achieving SDG 7 in Asia Pacific will require 3 main things: faster progress on clean cooking access, stronger improvements in energy efficiency, and rapid scaling of renewable energy. And for this, policy and regulatory certainty will be essential to unlock investment alongside innovative financing mechanisms and what Isabel also mentioned, stronger regional cooperation. So countries will also need well-planned transitions away from coal through just transitions approaches, which SCAP has been strongly advocating for. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much, here for this again, excellent presentation and highlighting where the Asia Pacific as a region kind of stands in the overall energy access SDG 7 progress for the people. And thank you for highlighting that SDG 7 roadmap and just for the the SCF in collaboration with the Private Power Infrastructure Board and the Ministry of Energy Power Division, SDPI, right? Developed the SDG 7 roadmap of Pakistan, and that actually has served as a very important guiding document for a number of forms years that have kind of followed thereafter. And actually, since where a lot of number of regional countries are listing and paddling for this platform for this particular dialogue, you must know that Pakistan as of now is one of the countries that is actually undergoing one of the most rapid transitions towards the renewable energy. We do have these mini micro hydropower plants installed across the HKH region. There have been a different kind of models around this development. At the same time, Pakistan has also kind of observed a very rapid solar PV transformation as well, in which we have actually developed different. And it is all very organic, but perhaps we'll delve into that detail a bit later as well. But thank you so much, Fadhia, for highlighting these statistics, highlighting these developments and the trends. And I think with this, we'll be moving towards a panel discussion. Would again be chaired by our chief guest, but for taking it further, let me come back to Zainab. So Zainab, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Ved. With this, let's move toward the panel discussion. And let me introduce the panel first. For the panel discussion, we have Ms. Shubhuti Kiran. She works at she is the head of Water Resource Management, ICI Mode. Mr. Anis Siman, Economic Affairs Officer, UNESCAP. We have with us Ms. Kiran Gautam. She is from SARC Energy Center. Thank you for joining us. And this session will be chaired by Mr. Akil Jafri. He's the Director, International Cooperation Policy, Private Power and Infrastructure Board, Ministry of Energy Power Division. So thank you everyone for joining us for this panel discussion. I will start from Ms. Shubhuti. Ms. Shubhuti, I would like to know from you that how can ICI Mode support countries in the Hindu-Kush Himalaya to adapt and apply the climate resilient hydropower framework developed for Nepal, particularly in integrating climate risk assessment and resilience measures in the HKH countries. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the question. Actually, in terms of that, I would like to begin is how ICIMOD is actually working towards that. So we have our so ICIMOD, being a regional country, we're working on basin networks as our network system, where we carry out from the River Basins Initiative work on at the basin level. We have Upper Indus Basin Network established in 2012. We have recently established the Yarlung-Zamu Brahmaputra network, and the key highlight of these networks are that the riparian members are the lead authors in doing the assessment on these basins. So that is one of the key area where ICIMOD is working on, and we are actually working on developing an integrated and updated basin network assessments for Indus, for Brahmaputra, and for Ganges Basin. Based on these assessments, we have been able to translate these assessments into practical tools, such as carrying out basin-wide hazard assessment maps, doing cryosphere-linked inventories, and also guiding these inventories in climate risk into feasibility studies and pilot assessments. Talking about the climate resilient, a recent study that ICIMOD undertook is to develop a climate resilient hydropower guideline for the government of Nepal, where we're assessing the basin, a pilot study in the Narayani Basin in Nepal, and carrying that out assessment to actually see if the hydropower that has been proposed or that has been licensed does pass a climate stress test, because being nations which have rugged mountainous terrain and being developing nations who are actually moving towards getting hydropower, upgrading their hydropower systems. So these was sort of a demand. We've taken the framework from this international hydropower guideline. There are frameworks, but when we link those frameworks to the mountainous countries that the HKH region lies in, so it has its own challenges. So framing it into the HKH context was very crucial for us. That's why this study came into being. And yeah, I think that is it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Subhati, for highlighting that what Nepal is doing, what kind of basin network assessments ICI Mode is developing for government to kind of guide them for hydropower development. So it was good to listen these insights. With this, I will move toward our next panelist, that is Mr. Anis Zaman. Anis, I would like to know, given in context of SCAP's work, could you share with us that how social and environmental factors are integrated into the energy transition efforts in the Asia-Pacific region? Specifically, how does SCAP address these aspects in promoting a sustainable and just energy future? So over to you.
Thank you, Zainab. Just checking if I am audible.
Yes, you are perfectly audible.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for that question. So basically, SCAP, I would say that plays a very important role in advancing environmental and social safeguards or safeguard frameworks in relation to promoting inclusive and sustainable energy development across the Asia-Pacific region. And I think my colleague Fadia has already mentioned about SCAP, but it's an intergovernmental organization. We have 9 substantive divisions that cover all dimensions of developments, that will include energy division, transport, finance, information, social welfare, and so on. At SCAP, we work directly with governments to support them integrate environmental and social considerations into national energy policy planning and investment processes. And we do this by supporting countries with technical assistance and knowledge and capacity building. Just to give you some examples on energy front, because I'm representing the energy division, we support long-term integrated energy planning, which aims to build an energy future that is sustainable, inclusive, reliable, and affordable. SCAP's support in developing national SDG 7 roadmaps, which Fadia has mentioned in great deal, is a great example of this. These roadmaps not only ensure that global goals and targets like SDG 7 and NDC are achievable, but they also help enhance environmental and social parameters in the countries. For example, if we just giving us a very quick example, that these roadmaps have identified the need to exploit clean cooking, which you have seen on Fadia's slide about Bhutan. And if we look very deeply into this particular initiative, we see that clean cooking is strongly linked to women empowerment, rural development, and also to public health improvement. Another example I can give is the coal phase out. Currently, just to mention that we are working with SDPI on coal phase out in Pakistan as well. And coal phase out is another priority area that has been identified in roadmaps. And we probably would, everyone will agree that by reducing or eliminating coal use, countries would facilitate improvement of local air quality. And not to mention that the big push that we'll do by this way towards emission reduction, which is the key to achieving 1.5 degrees pathways as well as net zero emissions by the mid-century. At SCAP, we are working with governments to help develop their national cooling action plans. These plans look at substantially reducing cooling energy demand, and that is done by employing efficient technologies, improving building codes, and making some behavioral changes. So from this, when we reduce energy, cooling energy demand, you can understand that this too has a large impact on improving air quality and improving public health as well. Overall, helping countries in transforming towards a sustainable energy future, which is largely moving away from fossil fuel, escape is indirectly safeguarding environment from many aspects. For example, erosion, soil erosion, water bleaching, and also protecting flora and fauna, and so on. We also help governments to strengthen institutional capacities so that the safeguards are well implemented to foster gender equality, community engagement, and a realization of just energy transition principles. These efforts collectively help us to ensure that the region's energy transition is not only environmentally responsive and resilient, but also fair, socially inclusive, and leaves no one behind. I think I will stop there because there are a lot of things to say, but I think we also need to hear from other panelists. Thank you. Over to you, Jenna.
Thank you so much, Anis, for highlighting what SCAP is doing around long-term energy planning, the national action plans, coal phase out, and the national SDG 7 roadmap. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Now I would request our next panelist, Mr. Akil Jafri. He's the Director, International Cooperation Policy, PPIB, Ministry of Energy. Akil Sahab, I would request you to share the progress on SDG 7 in Pakistan and what are the government plans to progress in around this SDG 7. So over to you.
Thank you, Zainab. The government of Pakistan has been encouraging the development of and deployment of renewable energy technologies. And when we talk about Pakistan and the whole region, I believe going forward, there's a need to set a transformational agenda, not only targeting the power sector, but also encompassing all sectors of economy. When we talk about Pakistan, starting off with the announcement of the first renewable energy policy back in 2006, that was a good kickstart, based on which we started development of large-scale wind and solar energy projects in Pakistan. But that there were certain impediments and bottlenecks in going forward with the policy because there was no synergy between that policy and other policies and the regulatory framework. And the synergy was developed with the transitioning towards an integrated energy planning model, which we call the IGCEP, Integrated Generation Capacity Plans. That, based on the government policy targets and objective, sets a goal for the next 10-year development plan, which is also based on least cost criteria, taking into account our global commitment towards net zero in the long run, and in the short run, the global commitment towards curtailing greenhouse gas emissions. But again, that IGCEP is focused more on towards the power sector. The next step the government has initiated is developing an integrated energy plan that will cater for the integration of green technologies and green economy in all sectors of economy. Because that is very important when we talk about achieving the target of net zero by 2050. I think the policies, when we talk about Pakistan and other countries in the region, the policies should also focus on creating synergies in all sectors of economy through integrated energy planning. As one of these speakers mentioned, that apart from the bottom-down approach in which we set the policies, regulatory frameworks, there's also need to set in place demand-side management, because when we talk about integrating renewable energy sources and equitable and all-inclusive approach towards increased share of renewables, we have to target all the sectors, even the domestic sectors, and demand side approaches and management approaches are essential to reach those targets. They have to be embedded in our planning and all the processes. For that, I believe one of the most important steps going forward is the digitalization and modernization of our grid infrastructure, in which by having large-scale renewable energy deployment, we also integrate and capitalize on the distributed energy potential and the deployments in off-grid areas in the industry, even in the domestic sector, and also utilize the potential of battery energy storage systems, which has the prices of which has greatly reduced in the recent past. And going forward, I think apart from large-scale renewable energy development, using hydropower projects as battery storage, the battery energy storage systems would provide a great impedance for the integration and of renewables in all sectors. There's also need to create awareness amongst the masses when we talk about creating an all-inclusive and equitable energy transition, because as the presentation mentioned that we have almost reached a target of 100% electricity in all of the regional countries and in Pakistan. But talking about clean cooking and other areas, we still lag behind. Pakistan, one of the major problems faced in Pakistan, especially in the power sector, is the great difference between urban and rural population utilization of energy intensity use, and also the dilemma that we face of different capacity and utilization factors in summers and winters, which is main because our demand, the base load demand for the whole year, if we consider that, is around 8,000 to 9,000 megawatts, whereas the demand surges up to 27,000 megawatts in summers. Why? Because that surge in the summers is primarily because of the cooling load. So we need to increase our demand, and if we want to have a persistent share of clean energy technologies in all sectors, and that can be done by switching towards electricity-based cooking and heating in all sectors, especially in the urban, in the domestic sector, because domestic sector is the biggest consumer of electricity in Pakistan. I think going forward, the government is also working, and that will also help all the nations. That one thing that can help all the nations is discussing and moving towards regional power trade, because in that way we can efficiently use our shared resources across the nations and achieve the targets. So coupled with innovation, private sector investment, and climate resilient infrastructure, we can certainly achieve the SDG 7 goals and move towards achieving the low carbon economy and zero neutrality by 2050. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Akhil Saab. You've rightly mentioned that though the electrification rate regionally and in Pakistan have improved, but the adoption rate of clean energy technologies or clean cooking technologies have not met the pace of this electrification rate. So we need to work on this. And you've rightly mentioned that there is a need for integrated planning, energy planning, not only for power sector, but for other sectors of the economy as well. And there is definitely a scope for regional cooperation to build on this. So with this, I would now move towards our next panelist, Ms. Kiran Gautam. She's from SARC Energy Center. Ms. Kiran, I would like to know from you, what are the key opportunities and challenges in advancing cross-border power trade and grid connectivity among SARC countries in the HKH region? And how can shared resilience standards be developed to ensure that the energy security and climate resilience across borders? So over to you.
Thank you so much, Zainab. Honorable Member of the Assembly, distinguished speakers, delegates in the hall and online, very good afternoon. Thank you, STVI, for giving me this opportunity. I'm listening for past 2 days, and we are talking so many things, and so many things have been already covered. Let me start with energy is not a simple commodity now. It has become a strategic commodity, and water is too. While talking about the energy mix in South Asia region, we are fossil fuel dominated, but some of the countries are still using biomass in large scale. So we have some commonalities and we have some differentiation. But while going from in the ladder from biomass to electricity, we are now in the market where we still buy rice horse to power our boilers to the electricity. So in case of power trade, we have exercised and we have a decade-long experience on it. So initially, we used to exchange electricity. It started from Nepal, India, and Bhutan, India. But in future, we are hoping to have regional cooperation and regional power pool in this area. So there are some data like Nepal has already done the long-term power trade agreement with India up to 10,000 megawatt, but we have until now we have been able to install only 4,000 megawatt of electricity. Similarly, Bhutan has already started selling more than 1,000 megawatt. And there are several studies done by SARC Energy Center also. So in that case, Nepal, India, Bhutan, and Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, that kinds of connection can be made. Of course, India plays a very critical role. So in such kinds of forums, we should not hide that India is in a strategic position for this power trade to happen smoothly in the future. So there are many, as per your question, there are many opportunities to make this region more cleaner and greener. For that, because there is opportunity, because there is a seasonal variation and peak load demand has to be met in the different countries. So some has hydropower and solar potential. While talking about electricity generation, we produce 100% electricity from hydropower, but sometimes percentage gives quite means fantasy data. For example, it's 4,000 megawatt, and our penetration in the national grid is from solar is around 100 megawatt. But when we talk about the Pakistan, you have already produced more than 30 gigawatt from solar panels. So our region is moving forward. India is also leapfrogging on renewables. There are lots of opportunities, but at the same time, we have challenges too. That are we are already aware that there is a technical, there are legal challenges, and there is political challenges, right? So in technical challenges, there are infrastructure, and for infrastructure, we need investment. We have to strengthen our infrastructures, and billions of dollars are needed for transmission and distribution lines, and it's not easy in domestic and as well as a regional perspective. In domestic means in our own country also, land acquisition, running the transmission line over the lands is not easy in terms of social acceptance and in terms of technical acceptance too. And we hesitate to talk in such forum about the geopolitics. Geopolitics is very critical, and we should not hesitate. We have honorable assembly member is here. So it started from Sikandar to Genghis Khan to this era. So there will be power politics. Yes, we are all sovereign country, but we need to be flexible. And at last, what I want to say that technical challenges can be met, right? and legal challenges can be made through harmonization, through talkings. And for the political challenges, we have to build consensus, and such kind of conferences and discussions are the base. Yes, we cannot push other country, but we can push our own country. So in that, for the policy push, these kind of conferences are very much needed, and we can do and establish a regional cooperation. At the end, what I would like to emphasize again is infrastructure, investment, and integration and trust building is very important in having a regional cooperation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Kiran, for highlighting this political economy angle as well. But again, as been on going with the discussion, I think some points around the importance of this renewable energy being the central and these decentralized systems, that's coming very clear. But I believe, looking into the panel title, one very important element that we still need to a bit perhaps debate more on is the using the word climate resilient infrastructure, because definitely the decentralized renewable energy systems that have actually advanced energy securities, but we also really need to understand that these systems are also increasingly at risk. If you look at the damages caused by the floods 2025, even in the case of Pakistan, there are a lot of these mini micro hydropower plants, even the large utility scale infrastructure has actually been damaged. So we really need to perhaps also debate very briefly on how we can actually make this infrastructure more climate resilient. Because while the decentralized or the small scale renewable energy systems, they kind of restored a lot of the energy angle after the disasters, yet very ironically, but these are also kind of the very first ones to be damaged when the floods, landslides, or these droughts occur as well. The point is that if we do not kind of climate proof these decentralized energy system, we kind of also risk reversing the years of progress that we kind of made on, or that also Fadia showed in her presentation as well. So there is again a very big threat to this infrastructure from the climate perspective as well. So given that, if we can just perhaps have a little bit of a discussion, and request some of the speakers to very briefly share the interventions before we go towards the chief guest remarks. Like particularly talking about one angle, if I'll request Anis, if you want to add first, and then Akil Saab, that if talking about the climate risk assessments, particularly for the hydropower development, and it's if you have any kind of thoughts on that, like how this infrastructure of either the mini micro hydropower plants or even the decentralized renewable energy systems, if how they can be perhaps more made more climate resilient, and any learnings we have from any parts across the region. So perhaps Anis, if you would like to go a bit first, and then coming to Akil Saab for the context in Pakistan. So, yeah.
Sure, thanks, Subhaid. Just to start with, that climate resilience, to me, to my understanding, cannot be a very general one or universal one. So it is actually very context specific, depending on which country, which particular area we are talking about, and what sort of climate resilient parameters or aspect need to be built in the power plants. For example, if we are talking about a mountainous region, the climate resilience dimension would be a little different to if we are talking about the countries in the Pacific. That will need to be very context specific. Just giving you some example, let's say you are talking about hydro. One of the ways that hydro, of course, hydro, that we know that there are a lot of features, a lot of things that can happen with the hydro, particularly if there are plenty of rainfalls, there might be some overflowing. Just some innovative technologies, innovative ideas, which is being implemented in many countries, particularly in Thailand. We have seen floating solar photovoltaics. So those solar photovoltaics, in many cases, are being installed on the water body of the dams of hydro power, or any other dams, maybe lakes. So that is actually building a good feature that in terms of any particular climatic events that can be helpful and that can still withstand. And the damages that might cause these events might be little less. Again, another example, in the Pacific, which I am saying that it can be completely different in a sense that the Pacific is very much close to sea level, or some countries are already at the sea level. So they need to really protect their infrastructure in a way that there is little damage from the sea level rise. Another problem is these specific countries mostly rely on imported fossil fuel from the mainlands. So that means that if you look at carefully, the kind of supply shock, supply chain disruption might happen due to many climatic impacts. And that is why one of the ways that we are advising those countries to build up their mini renewable energy infrastructure, and those can be, of course, that can be decentralized. This will help them to reduce the fossil fuel import. So, if they can reduce fossil fuel import from overseas or from the mainlands, then the potential for disruption from climatic events or sea level rise or any typhoons that is happening, that would be much lower for that supply chain. Of course, that those infrastructure can also be subjected to those climatic events, but if we know what extent, we can probably build those up in a way that we can minimize those climatic events and damage impacts. That's all from my side. Obaid, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nis, for highlighting. And yes, fully agreeing that's a lot case specific. Let me request if Akil Saab wants to briefly touch upon it from the angle of Pakistan.
Thank you, Bat. I would tend to agree with the Nis Saab that climate resilience means has different meaning for different countries. When we talk about Pakistan, it's mainly in the form of glacial outbursts and glacial melting, and at some point in time, it can also be irregular or low flows of water from the north, which again disrupts the power supply from hydropower projects. To create a balance, I think there's a need to utilize and synergize a large-scale utility power project development, at the same time promoting distributed energy generation and integrating, as I mentioned earlier, integrating the battery energy storage systems. So, that would be not only providing a stable and sustainable energy supplies to the grid and the localities, even in the case of irregular flows of water from the north and disruptive hydropower generation, those systems and distributed energy systems, especially in the north and in the south, they can provide unstoppable supply of electricity to the different segments of consumers in the country. But at the same time, will be able to achieve the sustainable energy goals and the energy access in a better way. So that is why the government is also, government of Pakistan is planning to develop around 100 megawatts of solar energy systems in the Gilgit-Baltistan area, which includes large-scale utility-scale projects and also small-scale distributed energy systems deployed along with the battery energy storage systems. That will also augment the existing small-scale hydropower turbines that have been installed in different localities and off-grid areas, to make them able to operate in hybrid mode and provide uninterrupted supply of electricity to the consumers.
Thank you, Akil Saab and Nis, for mentioning this. And yeah, again, thank you. Very extremely relevant. Let me check if Ms. Kiran has any last points to add. Yep.
Yes.
Sure, I'll come to Mr. Bhuti as well.
Okay. Yes, when we talk about the climate really resilient, one thing we should not forget that we have to go in the energy mix. Yes, Ms. Subhuti knows more than if we are more dependent on hydropower, just like Nepal and Bhutan, that the climate change impact will, we don't know about the flood and drought in the coming future. So we have to diversify our energy resources inside the country and outside, means in the regional things also outsourcing. And for example, for Nepal and Bhutan, it's a landlocked country. We have to depend on one source, but you are lucky that you have a sea access and you can diversify your sources. And one more thing I would like to aid upon is today we are here because of the impact of fossil fuel consumption, right? So let's not forget that while moving from fossil fuel to cleaner energy sources, using batteries and solar panels is not also easy task, and there involves lots of critical minerals for that minings. And when managing the batteries and all those things, now air is polluted. In that case, soil can be polluted, and that will be again another disaster. So we have to think from the start for this case. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Bhuti, you wanted to add something last week.
Yes, thank you very much for letting me add on to this. So these very discussions that we're talking about hydropower, about the need of a climate resilient infrastructure. So ICIMOD has already started working on that. As I was saying earlier, we already have developed a guideline that is focused on hydropower sector. There are these international guidelines that talks about doing different type of climate stress tests to the hydropower to see if it's not just energy viable via energy availability, but also from an investment perspective, because that is always something that developing nations that are there in the HKH always need to rely on. So thinking on that, we have developed a climate resilient hydropower guideline for the government of Nepal, where we have aligned the guideline with the guideline that the country currently has, because these are the countries which are rapidly moving towards the hydropower development, and there are circumstances. As our sir here mentioned about the GLOF, so the need of this guideline is also because these countries are mountainous countries. The rivers there are dependent on glacier fed. They're dependent on rainfall. So thinking about these, we have carried out this study which focuses on modeling of different types of flows in the aspect of glacial hydrological modeling for to understand the runoff dynamics under multiple climate stress scenarios. With the focus on the IPCC's 6th assessment scenarios, we have been trying to figure it out in terms of seasonal flow pattern for the power generation. We have carried out this flood and GLOF hazard assessment with HECRAS models and everything to identify safe and unsafe zones for these hydropower placement, infrastructure placement, thinking about the climate resilient infrastructure. The other thing is we've also carried out assessment for landslide and sediment risk analysis to see the which is crucial for the turbine efficiency and the dam safety, right? And adding on to being here in Pakistan, I take it pride that ICIMOD has also already started initiating this, because this was a pilot study we carried out in Nepal for the Narayani Basin, and ICIMOD is currently working on carrying the same sets of assessment for Bhutan, engaging with the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, and also with Pakistan, the global GCICS in impact studies. Yeah, so we've already initiated that, and we're looking forward for that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhuti, for sharing your insights and the work that you're doing. And thank you so much to all the panelists for a very rich discussion. With this, I would move towards the panel, the session chair, Mr. Riaz Fatiana Saab, for his remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for this
First of all, I would like to congratulate Sustainable Development Policy Institute and Dr. Abbas Larry, who organized this excellent event and conference. It's the 28th international conference on. Secondly, I would also like to thank UN ESCAP and International Center for and International Center for Integrated Mountain Development for their funding and cooperation. And I also welcome all of you who came from abroad. First of all, this is a time to come forward. In this region, Hindu Kush Himalaya region, we have 8 countries. And our capacity to generate electricity through hydro and wind and solar is 3,500 gigawatt. But unfortunately, we are utilizing only 6% of this capacity. There is need to join hands from all countries in joint financing, in data transfer, in technology transfer, in even energy trade. This will be a new opportunity and value where we are also purchasing electricity from Iran, but unfortunately the other countries have some domestic and some international issues. We also stress to establish political stability in the region and inter-country relations, which are not much better. So China, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan should sit together. Secondly, there also need to enhance this clean energy according to alternate renewable energy, our promise with SDG 7. This will be utilized in social sector as well. Poverty eradication is also very important in this region. This can be utilized in schools, in offices, in commercial activities, in government offices. Our Parliament of Pakistan is utilizing solar energy from last 3 years. We are totally dependent on solar energy. And mostly in government offices, we are converting our system of electricity to solar. We are also utilizing it in agriculture tubes. So there is more need to utilize this. And in last few years, we offer reverse metering system, and people rush to adopt solar system in Pakistan. But unfortunately, later on, because due to some controversial agreements with IPPs, we are bound to purchase their electricity, even we are not getting utilizing their electricity, but we are paying them. So this is need to shift all countries from thermal, from coal, from gas energy system to LNG to hydro, wind and solar. This will reduce our cost. This will provide our climate opportunities better. We can reduce our smoke. This is also a problem in Pakistan and India. So people are suffering with health disaster of lung cancer and so many other diseases. So in the end, I will appreciate that if SDPI should come forward and establish a caucus, a giant research wing under umbrella of this conference of this SDPI to collaborate and cooperate and correlate of resources, research support and technical support, and of course interaction with within all countries of the region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your excellent interventions. Before just coming to the final vote of thanks, there is an official launch of one of IC Mode's research reports. If I can request the IT team to please display that. And Dr. Abid, being the lead author, if you would like to mention what's in the report in 1 minute, so please over to you. In meanwhile, we're kind of showcasing the report over here as well.
Thank you very much, Obed. So actually we
Dr.
have
Abid, are
tried,
you with us? Dr. Abid Hussain, EC Mode.
yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Dr. Abid, we
We
can
can
see
hear
you.
you, Abid.
Yes,
I
we
think
can hear you. Yeah, but the room apparently
Yeah,
not.
can you hear me now? I
We
have
can hear
removed my
you. We can hear
headphones.
you. We can hear you.
Yeah, that was some problem with that. Thank you very much, Obed. So this report actually updates the status of energy mix. What are the sources of energy the regional member countries they are relying on? What are the options actually to transition from conventional resources of energy to more renewable sources? We also suggested, of course, multi-purpose hydropower projects are important because they also cover the need of water in different sectors, including agriculture. But we should not forget dam equivalents, as mentioned our Deputy Director General also that require efforts not only at macro national level but also the local level also on water conservation technologies, efficient use of water, productive use of energy and water also. We also highlighted the risks and challenges what our region is facing in terms of enhancing regional cooperation. Of course, we have various challenges, political challenges, one of those, and we need to enhance regional cooperation not only for energy trade, we should go beyond that. The share of technology, share of ideas, share of solutions, these are also very important. So overall, it covers status, it explores the potentials for regional cooperation, but also it highlights the challenges. In the end, I would like to mention I am from constituency of Rayaz Fatehana Sahab. So I know him so well and very nice to see him after a long time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abid. Will be handing your report to him shortly. And before final conclusion, let me invite Dr. Khalid for the final vote of thanks, please.
Thank you so much, Ubed. Uh, Interesting panel. I would say we need to advance in SDG 7, particularly in HKH region. My job is very easy here. Fatehana Sahab sir, thank you so much. Your leadership is as important as anything, starting from your role in SDGs, at COPs, in the National Assembly. Thank you so much. Akhil Jafri Sahab, sir, always a pleasure listening you from the platform of Private Power Infrastructure Board. Anis, UNS CAP, wonderful presentation. Ms. Kiran Gautam, although SARC is not as functional as it should be due to hard politics and geopolitics, but SARC Energy Center is doing wonders. Thank you so much, Ms. Shubhuti Kiran, IC Mode. And I particularly would like to thank IC Mode that for the support, for the knowledge products, for development of human capital to save environment and establishing climate resilience. Ms. Isabel, I would like to thank the whole panel by repeating the title of the publication that we launched today. That is, Together We Have More Power. Obviously, together we have more power. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here. This is the QR code where you can download the report. Thank you so much. Looking forward to insightful discussion in futures as well. Thank you, Fatehana Sahab. Thank you.
If I can request the panelists to please join us at the front, we'll be for a group picture. We'll be shortly removing the chairs from here. Mr. Mila, if you can please join us. Sir, aap bhi aa sakte hain. Miss,
For picture. Just 1 minute.